Monday mornings with Matt and Kevin. What's in the news? Topics that come up around the dinner table will be given the truth treatment with no punches held and no falsehood left standing. These two will debate real-life issues from a Catholic perspective every Monday at 9 a.m. Eastern.
And now, here are your hosts, Matt and Kevin.
Hey, very happy Monday morning to everybody out there I think many people having a very cold Monday morning. I know it's been a cold wave through the Midwest, at least. I don't know up there with you, Matt, but very cold in the U.S. It's been very cold here as well, actually. And it's kind of funny, Matt. I wrote a Facebook post bragging about all the shows coming up on Catholic Family Podcast. And then like an hour after I posted it, I got super sick, like on my back sick. And it's just like you were saying before, it's like, this is just kind of how it is. It's like, yeah, this time of year, I'm just always sick and it drives me bonkers. But we're back here, and we're going to talk today about a few things about the papacy. Well, we want to talk about the true papacy, and we want to talk about, a fake papacy. So we're going to start with the fake papacy, which I imagine anyone watching this is probably assuming, well, that would be our good friend Bergoglio, who he's amazing, Matt. He just came out with the whole blessing of gay marriages thing, which is huge. I mean, and people are just kind of like, wow, can he possibly say anything crazier? And Bergoglio, like 1 week later, is like, hey, hold my beer. I'm gonna kick things up a notch, and we're gonna talk about a dialogue with the Marxists. So I'm just going to lead this off. I'm going to let you comment on this, Matt. But so sure. National Catholic Register, and it says Pope Francis this week called for cooperation between Christians and Marxists as a way to achieve greater dialogue and help in the search for the common good. Again, National Catholic Register. Pope Francis this week called for cooperation between Christians and Marxists. Cooperation. This is according to them. This is what he said. Now you can read this article a lot. It's typical Bergoglio stuff. It's a blah blah blah, words. Humanity. Fraternity. Save the people and the planet and people of war and good and blah. He just it's word salad. But this is pretty interesting when you look this up. If you look up, this is from a decree of the Holy Office in 1949. So that's under Pope Pius XII.
Yes, Pius XII. Yes.
And it says. So it's actually all in Latin, but it says, so it's translated, by chance is it licit to give name or to make favors to communist parties? It says negative communismum enim est materialis tucus, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so pretty much, no, you can't do it. Now at the end, it says, again in Latin, but it says, if Christians declare openly the materialist and anti-Christian doctrine of the communists, and mainly if they defend it or promulgate it, ipso facto, do they incur excommunication? Especially speciali modo reserved to the apostolic see. The answer is yes. So
and he calls them apostates on top of that. Just to throw that in there.
There are
I've read this.
What is it, man? Is it 8 popes who have condemned Marxism? And I was reading through one of the encyclicals by I think Pope Pius XI, and that was Divini Redemptoris. And again, it just says, just real quickly, it says communism is intrinsically wrong. That's just one line from it. Intrinsically wrong. It is condemned. You cannot have anything to do with Marxists, Matt. If you join them, you are ipso facto excommunicated.
I can see Bergoglio and his few predecessors standing on a mountain with our Lord Jesus Christ on his left and Satan himself to his right, and him saying to both of them, "Can't you just work together? Like, can't you just talk? Can't you just dialogue?" He wants to. He doesn't believe that there should be any enemies on mankind at all, maybe except those traditional Catholics, but otherwise he thinks there's this common unity of manhood. That is his end, and that has always been
which is
end.
Marxist.
Our humanity, which is why he wants to, which is why what you started with, how he's saying we have to find like this common good and all that, like the common good to what end though? There's the reason why it's condemned is because they have two different ends. The communist, the Marxist end seeks to root out religion. It seeks to I think it was Karl Marx who even said Marxism begins when atheism when atheism starts or whatever. So he paired the two, that we need to subdue and do away with religion, which was a force push on society to keep men, to keep people, under the government's thumb, to keep people oppressed, and that we need to do away with it, and we need to root it out. And then once we get rid of this whole religion thing, then our problems are solved, and we'll have a lot more success in becoming, and we can all hold hands and sing John Lennon's Imagine, and he has no problem with that. Now, how do I know he has no problem with that? Because he actually, this is a fun fact, the what's her ethnicity, the Colombian artist Shakira performed John Lennon's song Imagine before Bergoglio. I don't know if you knew that. It's on YouTube. So he is an audience, and Shakira, I think it's Shakira, is sitting there, and she's singing Imagine There's No Heaven, and he's listening to the performance. This is the vicar, supposedly this is the vicar of Christ on earth. They're trying to marry two things that are incompatible with one another. And as you said, the popes of the past, I know Pius XII and maybe Pius IX as well, they're declared enemies of the church. And this whole dialogue being put forth by Bergoglio is manifestation of the new religion that he believes. It's not the Catholic faith. It's not the Catholic religion. He couldn't be more clear about it.
Well, and I think it's something that we want to talk about in a minute too, about what the papacy actually is and what you must submit to it. And I think that's the question that the R&R are having right now, is like, how on earth do we deal with this? And I think pretty much they're generally saying, oh, we're just going to ignore it, or no, it's okay, he just can't do this. So like, well, no, of course he can't. I mean, just imagine, Matt. I mean, let's put ourselves back 70 years. Let's go back to Pius XII. Say, okay, this is Pius XII, and Pius XII is like, look, we need more peace and love and dope, and so let's all get together and let's just go meet with Stalin. Hey, Stalin, let's have a dialogue with Russia. Let's have a dialogue with them. Let's talk to them. Let's try to work this out together. Do you hear this? Does anyone hear this? I mean, anyone that is R&R, are you listening to this? I'm sorry, but are you listening to this? A pope cannot say these types of things. It cannot. It is against what the church has taught for over 100 years. Very clearly, you cannot cooperate with communists.
Here's what's funny. And here now, this again, Pope Pius XII is so rich, and to this day, I continue to find more and more works that he's done, not only just encyclicals, which I've gone through, but letters and all of that. He expresses the faith so beautifully. So after he condemned, I didn't know this until I pulled this up earlier this morning. After he condemned communism in the 1949 decree, he said that not only is this condemned, but what the church is responsible for is we must counteract the appeal of these communist doctrines by teaching Catholic doctrines to the faithful. Can you hear? Not even just Francis, but because people say, well, someone said to me the other day, why are you so fixated on Francis? Well, because he's currently the one alive, but Benedict and John Paul II and all of them. Do you get anything out of them where they not only condemn these communistic Marxist ideas, but they say that in order to combat this, we need to preach Catholicity? Never.
Well, it just came up on a show with Introibo about how Paul VI, took off his papal tiara and pretty much tossed it in the trash and told everyone to put their faith in the UN. This was back in 1975, yes. I think it is. I mean, so this is not something new. It's not. And I think this is, again, what people need to realize. This goes back to Vatican II. I think this is something that they preached and signed documents for humanism. That's really what it is. I mean humanism and modernism, and it's something that, of course, we've been warned by all the way back, by Pope Pius X. And I think it's just something it's crazy that I think people are starting to see it now because it's so obvious, and because you have the internet, right? I mean, back in the day, not many people, probably, maybe some people would have heard about the UN, but it just probably would have slipped through the cracks. But now, the National Catholic Register is probably being read by millions of people, and you can just read on the front page where it says, your Pope just said we need to hold hands with Marxists.
And the funny thing is, he doesn't do this with those so-called traditional Catholics, and that seems to be still the funny point.
He even mentions it, right? He even mentions, like, we need to stop being so rigid We need to not be these rigid people who,
Grandmother's laces.
you
Yes,
know,
yes,
right,
yes.
who believe in truth and tradition. We need to embrace each other as true brothers of the world. It's so unbelievable garbage drivel. How can
This
anyone?
is
It's just mad. I can't even believe it. How can anyone
it's
believe he's the
actually
Pope?
it's on actually the Vatican News website, and maybe as of this morning. I actually just put this one in. I didn't have it ready. I just put it in. Vatican News, vaticannews.va. Pope encourages Marxists and Christians to fight corruption, uphold the rule of law. I mean, he invites socialists and Christians to work for a common good
Yeah,
ethic and invite them to build a better future for our polarized world. Do you want to know it's polarized? Catholics and Marxists.
so
Like
true.
that's how it's supposed to be. And there he is in the picture taken by and the people in in the image look exactly how you would expect them to look. And there, of course, is that awful one of those awful paintings, which you can't even figure out what's going on in it. It looks like maybe two angels in a blue time warp. I don't know. Um, but he said this dialogue project between socialists, Marxists, and Christians is aimed to formulate a common social ethic that can be proposed as a new narrative for Europe in search for identity. Now, think about I'm thinking of uh, Pius the XI's Mortimer Monimus, who said that all must draw to this sea of Peter. There's our source of unity. There's no dialogue there. There's no let's see if we can find a common good. Our unity is in Rome. Our unity is in submitting to the Roman pontiff and drawing to this holy see. That's it. There's no because he doesn't view himself as which he's not, but he doesn't view himself as this as the proximate rule of faith, as the center of unity for all Christians. There's no conversion here. He doesn't seek to convert. He's condemned it,
Right.
which is what also makes it funny when people, even Novus Ordo conservatives, always say, "Well, you have to we preach to come and we want people to find Christ." Well, that even that like find Christ. There's multiple means of salvation. Why are you even trying to do that? The whole thing is so upside down, and a lot of people don't even realize it yet. They don't realize how bad he is, and they're blinded by it. And I think if they really knew, they would be horrified. But they can. And I lived in this bubble. I've thought to myself too. I've lived in this bubble where you kind of don't pay attention to it. You don't really think about it. You know what's in front of you in terms of maybe your catechism or your books or your prayer books or whatever, and that's all well and good, and we should. But people are really, really oblivious to what Rome is putting forth. And I, for many, 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 many years, had no idea.
Well, and just imagine the people who are, supposed Catholics, Novus Ordo Catholics, who are now or have been because of Bergoglio and the past quote unquote popes, who are, who have taken part or who have become Marxists because they don't think it's bad. That is excommunication. They are outside, even if they were inside. That's a whole nother topic. But
Apostates.
but if they were inside the church, they are now outside, Matt. They are on the road to hell.
Mhm.
That's what is at stake here. This isn't just like, oh, Bergoglio is being dumb. He is leading these people straight to be damned. That's what this
And
is about.
that's what
And people just kind of,
apostate.
yeah, shrug and oh yeah, oh well.
And what's great is I guess he gave this message on the Paul the Sixth Hall, that beautiful, awe-inspiring building.
Of course he did.
He said Francis had this is all on the Vatican website, by the way. That Francis had the very inspiring words of saying, "Do not stop dreaming." In this imagination, whatever that means there, intelligence, intuition, experience, and historical memory meet to create, venture, and risk, the Pope said. It has been the great dreams of freedom and equality, of dignity and fraternity. I've never heard him say those two words. A reflection of God's dream. God is dreaming, Kev, whatever that means. That's still one of my favorite lines from the synod that took place in October was the Holy Spirit is now blowing. For some reason, that is hysterical to me. I don't know why,
Crazy.
but yeah.
Well,
So
I
here
think
we
he
are.
said he
God
says
is
these things for
dreaming.
headlines. Yeah, he says them for
I think he
headlines and
does.
tweets.
I think he
It is,
does.
and it's
Now
just garbage.
he
It's ugh, word salad.
just this morning, well, Sunday morning, he called on priests to give shorter sermons. Your homily needs to be short. Now, this is a guy who likes to blah 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 blah. Blah. He can't shut up. He
Right.
just talks and talks and talks and talks and talks, and people they think, and I kind of want to tie this in really quick. They think that just recognizing and resisting is the only solution, and in doing so they're throwing out multiple Catholic principles. Now I wanted to quote from an encyclical Pope Pius VI that I've had this ready because I think it really ties in well with the point that I want to make really quick. So Pope Pius VI is teaching magisterially here, and talking about the Roman Pontiff, and this is from Denzinger as well, I believe. It's in Denzinger. So he says, in his capacity as head, do not all his members, he's speaking of himself, the Pope, owe him the solemn promise of canonical obedience, which alone, and I'm going to stress that word, which alone maintains unity in the church and avoid schisms in this mystical body founded by Christ our Lord. I have seen so many people on Twitter. I know you're not on Twitter anymore, but so many people on Twitter are saying that they are have completely separated themselves from Francis. One of them said the thing that we need to do in this day and age is resist and ignore Francis and cling to Bishop Schneider and Scott Hahn. That was what some prominent R&R people on Twitter with thousands and thousands of followers have said the solution is today. Now, when you present them
bishop with
this,
no jurisdiction and some guy
is the right, and Scott Hahn
Right.
is the solution
Right.
to all of this.
Okay.
Again,
Good.
Paul the Sixth, I'm sorry, Pius the Sixth alone maintains unity is solemn obedience to the vicar of Christ. That is it. That is your proximate rule of faith, and that doesn't change. It doesn't get delegated to some random bishop or an author in Canada or wherever Scott Hunt or Texas or whatever he lives. It just they don't believe, and I was thinking about this yesterday. They view the church, I think, as this idea, as this abstract thought that they don't consider it to be a perfect society of men, and that this perfect society is constituted with a hierarchy that teaches, and when the hierarchy teaches, it's the church teaching. Even in the ordinary magisterium, it's the mystical body of Christ teaching. They don't seem to get that, and so it doesn't, and then they'll come up with all these things. Well, what about this one time when Pope, the great example is what John the 12th, who said that the souls didn't share in the beatific vision until the final judgment. They bring up that point all the time. That wasn't settled yet. The church didn't say you have to believe either. You are free to profess one way or the other. Pope John the 12th was wrong. He held the wrong view, but a Catholic in good conscience at the time can say the church has not spoken on this issue yet. It is not defined. I am free to believe either way. And in good conscience, I side with the vicar of Christ. That is completely safe to do. You can't go to hell for that. That is completely safe to do. And so people, they make these random points. Well, what about this? What about that? What about this? What about that? Novus Ordo Watch has a great column on his page. All these objections are answered. And Bellarmine has them in his book too, in defense of the Roman Pontiff. It's just nowhere in theology, and you could point that out to them time and time and time again. There's no magisterial document anywhere that suggests that this is the position to take, that when Peter's faith fails, you need to find some bishop in Kazakhstan to turn to and make sure you're listening to Scott Hahn's podcast. It's just not set up this way, and I don't know myself. I don't know why I didn't see this.
What happens when Scott Hahn goes off the rails? What happens when Bishop Schneider says, I don't know, Mary is Buddha? I mean, whatever. What happens? I mean, this is the issue.
Just resist it. Yeah, right. Can you recognize and resist Scott Hahn?
Oh well, actually, I don't like what he said this time. So okay, Bishop Schneider's gone. Oh, Scott Hahn. Yeah, I mean, it becomes recognize and resist becomes. You are the Pope. You are the authority. It's like free Christians, right. Matt. It's like they have no authority. It's, hey, I'm going to listen to whoever the heck I want. I'm going to do whatever I want to do because I think this is right.
Do it yourself. Mario said this many times on his podcast. Do it yourself Catholicism. Yes.
Yeah.
Do it yourself. Excuse me. Do it yourself Christianity. So we are in these very, very, very troubled times, and the crisis seems to really be like in full speed ahead. Benedict was very careful, and I've said this many times, and that's one of the things that I think drew me to him in that time period. Was he's very careful and delicate and gentle. His words are problematic, but he hid them very well. Whereas Francis, and I think you have said that Francis is the product of the council. The past, Benedict, John Paul II, they kind of bridged the gap. They were both sides. He's full conciliar, and his successor will be as well. he stacked the College of Cardinals. They are all those electors there are like 80% his now or something to whatever degree. So
Right.
it's very curious to see where everything is going to go. With this, but we can't, as we've said a million times, you can't sacrifice Catholic doctrine for other areas that you need to make up with. So,
Well, and I know you would agree with me, Matt. The best way
mm,
is not to listen to you and me. You and I are going to rant about this. The best way is
yes, we
truly
say this all the time.
go read what the popes taught. Go back to Pius XII. That's why we're starting with Pius XII
Right.
and reading. We're going to try to read as many encyclicals as we possibly can this year. So starting at the end. So literally, we started with his last encyclical and we're going backwards. And I think
Mm,
this is the way to learn what the true popes taught. And I really, truly believe if you do that with really an open mind and heart and really wanting the truth, you will find the truth. Don't look to me. Don't look to Matt. Don't look to Scott Hahn, for goodness sake. Look to what the church has taught. The church has given us these answers. So you can find them. I mean, you can find, and these are easy to find, Matt. These encyclicals are, and you can
right.
find them even on the Vatican website. So I guess trust that as you can, but it seems like they're pretty trustworthy, kind of amazingly. I'm kind of amazed they're still up on the Vatican website.
And you read this, yeah, I know we don't have cameras on here, but I was just reading through Denzinger again, and when you go through it, it truly is like one author. You almost can't tell the difference in a lot of ways. I think some are a bit more harsher. I think um, Pius the Ninth was stern in a lot of ways, but it really is almost as if you can't tell who's writing it. They're speaking with one voice, and it's true. You can open up one, and let's say you're not familiar with who may have said it, you can open up whatever page you want and just read something, and you have no idea what pope that might have been because they're all
Yeah.
speaking with the same voice. But when you start coming across communion with the forest and the cry of the earth, I think it's going to be very clear that something seems a little bit awry. And that's the beauty of the magisterium, is it's protected in that sense where it's that one teaching authority of the church that is teaching us, and that one goal of leading us towards salvation is professed with that one same voice of Peter. And I forget it was too. I was reading this the other day, and I can't think of. I'm blanking on who it was, but whoever one of the I believe it was the council of. One of the councils, whatever it might have been, I'm blanking on this, but he said that while Peter cannot be present today, is something like, while Peter cannot be present today, he is represented by Celestine the Third, or something like that. And just those words alone, like, it's so stark how they see that Peter himself is living and breathing in his successors, like such strong images that to say that Peter cannot be present, but he's living here in Celestine at this council. It's
And
just beautiful.
So
Beautiful.
take that and then add it to,
Yes.
to our first
Yes.
segment. So if Bergoglio is truly the successor of Peter, do you think Saint Peter would be saying that we should hold hands with communists and cooperate? What do you guys think? I would say not. I'm pretty sure about that. Now, Matt, I wanted to end on
Sure.
a kind of a lighter topic, and I didn't prepare you for this one.
Yes, go for it.
I'm just curious. Do you believe in New Year's resolutions, or do you make them?
Well, I don't make them.
You don't
No,
make them. Yeah.
myself. No, I don't do it. No. Do I believe in them though?
What a loser.
I've never really given them. No, because I've never really. I think people. Are they bad? I don't know how they could be bad.
I'm putting you on the
I feel like
spot.
this is almost like a trick. I know. I almost feel like this is a trick question. There is an answer to.
You're
this.
going to upset everybody.
Yeah. Yes. No, I don't make them, and for the same reason that I think I'm constantly making resolutions. I don't think I have a New Year's resolution. I'm constantly striving to do things that would improve my faith or prayer time or virtue or holiness. And I think we should always be making those goals throughout the year. I don't think there's it has to be on a calendar date. You pagan.
No, I actually agree with you. I was kind of hoping you'd have the other side, but no, I agree. I think that exactly as you say it, I think that we should always be striving for it. Though
I made a resolution this morning.
Well, there you go.
See?
Don't eat 12 chocolate donuts, right? Only 6.
But I think it's especially if people, they choose these grand goals or whatever, it's overwhelming. You put yourself in a, if you're eating chocolate, like, I don't know, every day or whatever. I'm just gonna use a common example. And you say, I'm never gonna eat chocolate again this year. You're overwhelmed by a year's worth of of penance, which I guess is not a bad thing, but like a little at a time. I mean, sometimes we smack ourselves with these things that's like, whoa,
Yeah.
I didn't prepare myself. You can't go to the gym and lift 500 pounds.
Well,
Gotta lift 10
it's
first.
exactly right. I found the same for Lent, that I've had years where I just like, I'm gonna hit this so hard,
Yeah,
and
like you're going to the
I'm
gym.
gonna
Yeah.
be it's gonna be so penitential, and I'm gonna eat just plain rice or whatever. And what I found is that, yeah, after 2 weeks, I'm just done. I'm just like, I
Right.
hate this. And what I think actually is probably the best. It obviously give things up. I mean, don't drink alcohol, sugar. These are easy things, I suppose, but easy, quote unquote. But I think if you just say, hey, look, just a sacrifice of not eating like you're used to, that is a sacrifice, and actually take that
Right.
sacrifice and put it to give it to God, because I think that's actually something that, speaking purely for myself,
Right.
I forget to do. Like, I'll go through Lent, and of course I will eat as prescribed,
Mhm.
but I kind of, forget about just like, hey, okay, why am I doing this? I'm doing this for a reason. I'm doing this to try to, to
Yeah.
aid my
Same.
soul, and to clean myself a little bit, and to boost myself and prepare for the resurrection, etc. And I think that's what I need to do, is just be like, okay, I'm going to really focus on fasting and actually say,
Mhm.
okay, I don't like this right now, and I'm going to actively give it to God. And I think that's for me. That's it. So
Right.
that's a resolution I have for Lent. So if anyone
Hmm.
is asking, that is actually a resolution.
I was listening to a sermon by one of the priests as well, and he was kind of saying that we should be doing this, all the time, like make these small sacrifices. And I think the example that he gave was if you're going to like a staff meeting or whatever at work, and they put out glazed donuts and chocolate donuts, and you really like chocolate donuts a lot, take the glazed one. Like, even you're still eating your donut, you're eating a glazed donut, but you just made that small little denial of what you want, and it builds up your will. And so those small little things too, just like you were saying with your own example, they count for you keep in mind what you're doing it for. It's a small
Are you
sacrifice.
ready for Lent, Matt? It's coming in about
I can't believe it. About a
1
month,
month.
right?
Yeah, 1 month.
About exactly for I can't
Right around the corner.
I feel like you just did the episode 10 years of Bergoglio. That was almost a year ago. I remember that.
Crazy.
It was March 2023, and now
Sounds
we're
right.
almost in February 2024. So,
Time
are you
goes
going to
too
do an 11
fast.
year
Good question. I
11
got
years.
gotta ask Mario. I gotta get Mario.
30 years.
Man, there's so much going on in the Vatican. It's like, man, I
He's
gotta.
very busy.
He is, I know. Yeah, but still, come on, priorities. Mario, if
He's
you're
got
listening
time.
to this, come
Yeah,
on,
no,
man,
he's
come
got
on,
time.
come on. You need to come on the channel. But yeah, no, totally. But we actually have some really cool stuff coming up this week, I hope. I mean, assuming
You just
I don't
jinxed it. Yeah.
die. Yeah, exactly. If I'm not laying in bed. But I'm really excited about one about voting, but with two
Oh.
really good
The
guests.
Iowa caucus is
I'm
going to
just
be
gonna hit.
tomorrow.
Yeah, I heard that. It's cold. I think it's really cold.
It
My
is cold.
most of my family is in Iowa, so
Did you see the final? Oh, that's right. Did you see the final poll?
I didn't.
It was the final poll was 48% Trump, 48% Trump, 17% Nikki Haley.
Interesting.
She boosted herself up a lot.
Hmm.
I was intrigued by that.
I honestly, Matt, I don't even know who's running. It's just, to me, it's Trump. So it's like, I don't
But
honestly.
yeah, right.
Vivek,
I
I know
know.
Vivek's still running, but I mean, I
He's
don't know.
dipped in the polls.
Yeah, he's just too much of a nobody.
So we'll see how it goes.
Anyway, yeah. Well, I mean, I imagine we'll probably be talking a little more politics as the year goes on. I know everyone's so excited about that. But anyway, Matt, until next time, thank you very much. Hopefully next week we're both still kicking. And we'll be here for all you guys next Monday. Hopefully you will too. Please like, share, subscribe, comment, all that stuff. Tell us if you do New Year's resolutions. That would be pretty interesting. And if you do, does it work for you? I mean, we're definitely not condemning it. Not like the church condemns communism. See how I worked that in there? But anyway, let us know what you guys do. And hey, let us know what you think about what's going on in the Vatican as well. Matt, until next time, God bless you.